Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. It's go time! Hello, lovelies. How are you today? I am delighted because today is Women's Wednesday. Hello. Look who's here. We've got so many ladies in the house. We've got Catherine. We have Jeanette. We have Jocelyn. We have Nancy. Cheers, Nancy. Mother hen. We also have Patsy here. Good to have you here. Also Elaine and also Leanne. I'm just delighted that you're all here. And Amber's behind the magic screen, by the way. You know that, right? So if you were here yesterday, you saw I gave you kind of the tour of all the things that are going on with all the construction behind me, but it's getting done, y'all. One thing is really good is that we are all of our windows came from Habitat for Humanity. I'm just letting you know what we have done. All of those windows that we have installed, and we just found a big glass door that we're going to put over here. That where I am is going to be the new screen porch. Nice. So the table and all of that. So I just want to put that out there that if you're thinking of building something or reconstructing something at your home or remodeling, always look there because they have really good deals. One time they had a big stack of flooring. So there's always good deals there. And it's so nice to be able to recycle and reuse. Don't you think? I think so. Hi, Maureen. I'm glad you're here. So we're going to just, the other thing that I have to tell you is tomorrow, I will not be here live. We have a best of for tomorrow. And then what was supposed to be tomorrow's show will be on Monday. We're kind of changing things up a little bit. What place do you love? Oh, Habitat. I know we're complete Habitat junkies. We have a beautiful Persian rug that we got, and I think we only spent like $300 or $400. It is hand knotted, and it is a 9x13. It is a huge, beautiful rug that somebody no longer wanted and donated, and we got that. And of course, Habitat got the money for it. And if you look up Habitat there's like a charities.org where you can see how they spend their money and where it all goes, because a lot of these charities, 501c3s is what their, official IRS name is. They get the benefit of being a tax-free charity, and yet all their money is going toward paying toward the people who are on their boards and other stuff. So you've always got to really look into that. So I love them. Yeah, save the landfill, help others out. It's a great way to do it. So I'm very pleased with that and then just another thing too, we had, of course, you have to put in all this insulation. Another thing that happened was we were at some friend's house for a cookout after we had a pickleball game. And the gal said that, we said, we've got all this insulation going up. She said, you need insulation? I have a whole bunch of it downstairs in my basement. And then at the same time, she was saying, and we were out on her porch, which she had an incredible view of all the Blue Ridge Mountains. And we were out there. There was like, I don't know, I think there was 8 of us all together. And she said, everybody close your eyes, because when I turn on these lights, you're not going to believe how bright they are. And I said, you should put a dimmer on that. And she said, oh, well, that's not something Trig does. That's her husband. And I said, it's something my husband does. So how about we put a dimmer on that? And we'll take your insulation off your hands. So that's what we did. There are things like that out there. So look for that, because it's really nice. It's nice to be able to help out a friend and do something nice for them. Mark would have done that anyway, but it was also nice to get a bunch of free insulation. That stuff costs money. Alice, Teresa, hello. Good to have you here. So that's my stories. Those are my stories for today. I just thought I'd give you a little talking to about all of that. Anyway, so let's talk about what we have going on in the shop. We have some stuff that we're closing out. We're going through very meticulously, one thing at a time, looking at all of our inventory and saying what sells, what doesn't. This is just good business sense. And I get attached to every product because, I'm part of the creation process and formulating it with the formulator and all of that. And one that I just still cannot believe that we are going to close out is Crave Crusher. It is an incredible formula, a couple of amino acids in there, 3 amino acids actually, some 5-HTP, really calming on the brain. And if you buy one, you're going to get one. Not only that, not only are you going to get that, you're also going to get the calming coloring book. Now, I love this. And if beautiful quotes, beautiful butterflies and mandalas and all kinds of flowers and things. Look at this. Look how fun. Isn't this so beautiful? And when it does literally calm you down. There's a sense of just calm because you're focusing on just doing that little bit, and the beauty of it finished afterwards, well, makes you feel accomplished. But it's something I like to do them when I'm watching television and don't want to watch all of it. Sometimes I'll even put my earbuds in and listen to something, on my playlist or a YouTube video or something, and do this while Mark's watching something on television that I could care less about. You understand? If you want this deal, go to savingdinner.com/show. And I will promise you this, we are going to close this out. Buy one, get one. Screaming deal. Grab it. savingdinner.com/show. Hi, Kathy. I'm glad you're here. There's our Jackie, too. Nice to have you here, both of you. The other thing that you need to know, of course, is that a couple of things. One is that our webinar, Why the Rising Tide, is going to be happening next Monday. You need to go get your seat for that if you want to come. I'm going to be explaining why I think this is such an incredibly moving class and what it's going to do for you, and why at the end of the year we're looking at finishing strong. So check it out at savingdinner.com/rising. We already have people who've purchased the course. So we're going to be talking all about why it's so incredibly important and how we can finish strong, and all the goodies in between. We might even be doing a hot seat or two. We'll see. We'll see how the time goes. Couple of things: free shipping on any order over $300. We do this. You know why? Because we say thank you. This is our way of saying thank you. Just remember, it's all about the lower 48. That's the only way that we can do this without, losing our butts. Sorry, guys, but that's how this whole thing works. So anywhere you go, if you go to savingdinner.com/shop, you can go shopping. And don't forget, you'll get free shipping if it's over $300. Our Etsy shop is open, and there is some really cute swag in there. All kinds of full bloom stuff. savingdinner.com/Etsy. And lest you forget, we always have a quote of the week. All too often, we spend so much time waiting for the ideal path to appear. We forget that paths are made by walking and not waiting. That's a good one, isn't it? Zing, 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 zing. I like the singers. And Robin Sharma, by the way, great guy, Canadian too. Just have to put it out there. Love those Canadians. Robin Sharma is just a brilliant guy. He's the one who also said that where your focus goes, where your attention goes, your focus goes. What you focus on expands. What you dwell on becomes your destiny. That was that was just a big moment for me. Do you have quotes do quotes do that for you too? I sure hope so. That's why I always give you a quote of the week. Anyway, so yesterday, first of all, we started the whole week with just asking the question, what is the thing that creates happiness, health, and fulfillment in life? What is it? What are the things? And I thought of 3 things. And when I look at my own life and what I've seen with coaching and I get to pull the Medicare card and said, after these 65 years on earth, these are some of the things that I've observed in people where I've noticed that they have a great vibrancy, great enjoyment with their lives. What are those things? What is it that creates that health, that vitality, that vibrancy? What is it that creates just this joy and happiness and fulfillment? What are those things? Well, yesterday we went into the physical component of the whole thing because obviously, duh, your physicality has so much to do with how much you're going to enjoy your life because your physicality basically is the car that you drive, right? This is your vehicle for getting around life. This little bodysuit of yours is it. And so we have to fuel it correctly and we have to move it correctly. And if you are interested in that show, we really did a nice deep dive on an anti-inflammatory way of eating and being able to customize that, of course, and also the incredible importance of movement and how movement basically moves the needle. You use it or you lose it is what it is. And also, side note, of course, and you know me, I'm going to always hammer that hammer. And that is just protecting our bones as we get older. Because most of us that listen to this show, you know how it is. Most of us who listen to this show are over a certain age, and we might even say we're postmenopausal. If you're postmenopausal, all the more reason to really pay attention to all of this stuff. But all this physical stuff aside, good stuff. And if you didn't go listen to the show, go listen to it tomorrow or today or whenever. But it's always, ready for you and on replay. But today is talking about the synergy of the intrinsic nature of human happiness and its connection to positive relationships, of course, and mindfulness. You knew that was going to be it, didn't you? Of course. Because what is mindfulness except noticing and being present? That's what it is. And when we notice and we're present and we are fully experiencing it, it takes on a whole different flavor, doesn't it? Our whole lives do. They take on a whole different flavor. Hi, Corliss. I'm glad you're here. So we have to look at this because there's these intertwined threads, really. It's like this huge tapestry that we weave in our lives. We've got the social bonds, we've got being present, and we also have finding purpose in our lives at whatever stage we're in, because our purpose shifts as our life's mission shifts. When we're raising little children, we couldn't have a more important purpose than to raise up lovely people into the next generation, people who are thoughtful, responsible, empathetic, loving. Of course, that's what we want to do as mothers, isn't it? And it's a tall order. Am I right, Amber? It's a tall order. It is a tall order. So today I thought what I would do is because we're looking at all of this, let's look at 5 things that help us to become more into this place of being noticers, more participatory in the present. And there's going to be some obvious things, but I'm also going to bring in some unusual ideas to help make it stick. Because we all know, you could probably just sit there and go, oh, I know, Leanne, it's blah, 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 blah. You probably could do that. However, sometimes we have to look a little outside of the lines in order, or color outside of the lines, if we're using a coloring book analogy, just so that we can understand this concept a little bit deeper. You ready to go there with me? Well, the first thing is there's a social biomechanism, biofeedback mechanism, rather. So what we know is social connections provide emotional support. Duh, we know that. But here's the unusual takeaway from this whole thing. And that is that the human body and brain use these social interactions as a biofeedback mechanism. In other words, just as our muscles react to to resistance training or certain stimulus or whatever, our emotions and cognition react and remodel based on our social reactions. So in other words, here's the thing. Here's the kicker on this whole thing. It's the way that we act socially provides that biofeedback mechanism. So we can see it. What kind of feedback are we getting? Are we deepening our relationships? Are we having better social intercourse, as they would say? Um, and even, even without a deep emotional exchange, we don't have to always have that. We have to sometimes stimulate our brain enough so that it can go into problem solving mode. Because problem solving mode, empathy, and even memory is enhanced when we have these connections. Did you know that? It makes sense though, right? Because it's building these neural pathways. So we always have to be looking at our social connections as part of being mindful, because our social connections need to feed us. They need to nurture us. And by the way, we need to also be giving back in that way to feed and nurture others. There's a loop there. And without that, we're just like, it's all about me. And it's not. It's all about us. And when we see that, and I know that we all experience that in this group, we get to this place beyond community and into sisterhood. Amen? I mean, pinkies up. Come on. Of course, that's what happens. The other thing is we have mindful moments versus a continuous state. This is about flow. We've been talking about this. So the usual understanding of this is that mindfulness is a practice you schedule like your morning meditation. And I say, yes, there's nothing better than having your rituals in place. Your rituals in place create mindfulness. Absolutely. But you can also create this as a continuous state of being. Not, of course, not in a meditative state, but you can be in this place of, like, for example, you can, instead of just pouring your coffee and going and sitting down and saying, okay, now I'm going to go meditate, you can pour your coffee and just take a look at it and just savor, pick up that coffee, savor it, and just say, oh, it just smells so good. I'm just really going to enjoy this cup of coffee today, even though it's something that you do every single morning. We can stop and slow this whole thing down. So we have these subtle expressions of mindfulness, and that flows into the next activity and into the next activity. One of the things that I've started to do, because I mean, right, we all have this moment where I'm like, oh, gotta go clean up the kitchen, from dinner. Oh, here we go again. And then I started thinking, it is such a satisfying feeling to have a clean kitchen and hear the dishwasher in the background. So I thought, well, here we go, putting all those dishes in. And then when I sit there and I click on start, it's kind of almost exciting. I mean, maybe I lead too sheltered of a life. I don't know. But it really is, because I'm trying to be noticing even the mundane now. Does that make sense? I hope so, because I see that as part of the flow of what life could be. And if we can take joy in just little things like pressing the button, I'm grateful for that dishwasher button too, aren't you? So great. I'm not sitting there scrubbing them all by hand. I get to wash them and get done with it. So I love this. And this is how we create flow. And this is part of the reason that we do that, just so that we can have that really incredible calm. See, Teresa agrees with me. Jane, thank you. Jane says it makes perfect sense. But what a great way to live, right? Experiencing that instead of, oh no, I have to do this and blah, blah. I mean, who wants to be around that? And if that's you, you have to be around it all the time. So that is something that I'm really working on in my life, and I wanted to share that with you. I hope that helps. The other thing is this idea of this echo chamber of positivity, because we understand that positive relationships bring joy, right? But here's the other thing. Positive relationships amplify joy. It turns up the noise on it, and it's like a reverberation. It comes back and bounces back at you. You give joy, it comes back. Try that. Try that. So we have some friends who we were out on the boat with a few weeks ago. I don't remember. And we had a little charcuterie board, and we had our wine, and we were just in the middle of the lake enjoying it. And Lincoln's like, sniff, 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 sniff. He's just excited about the whole thing. He's just like, ooh, this is something that he wants. And Michelle, my friend Michelle, says, well, you got to pay the cheese tax. And I said, what? And she showed me this video. It was hilarious. Look at it sometime. If you've got a dog, you'll understand. And it's this little song, cheese tax, cheese tax. You must pay the cheese tax. If you're going to eat cheese, then the dog has to eat cheese too. That's the cheese tax. And so we started calling it all the cheese, the cheese tax. So in the morning, you guys are going to love that I'm doing this. Mark has been, as far as his supplements, I practically have to hand feed them to him. But I know that having SAMe on an empty stomach is so crucial, so critically important. And he has been off and on, and he says, it doesn't work. And I said, it works if you do it consistently. So finally, I got him to that place. You know why? Because I hand deliver his SAMe to him first thing in the morning. He's still in bed. He's like on his iPad or whatever. And I hand him a glass of water and I hand him his SAMe. And I said, though, you have to pay the kiss tax. So I make him kiss me before I'll let him, finish up with that. But these are little things that I've introduced into our relationship because that brings me joy. It brings him joy. It comes back to me. It's a builder. It's a builder. It's an appreciation. It's a kindness. It's a loving act to valet his SAMe in the morning. And I'm not resentful about it at all. I'm happy because, he's gotten rid of all that joint pain that he had, and I just told him that this is how it works, honey. This is what you need to do. I mean, I've done this for 20 some odd years. You need to be doing this every day. I will make sure. And this is how it worked out. And it worked into being a loving act of service, kindness, and I get the joy back. That's how it reverberates. So, the thing is, joy isn't just a linear thing. It isn't. And it's exponential. So as you do these things, you feed into, it's going to come back. You're going to get hit with another joy wave. That's how I look at it anyway. I think that's a good way to look at it. There's also purpose beyond passion, by the way. There is. And, our usual understanding is that we understand that finding one's passion leads to purpose. But the thing that we have to look at is, what is passion, except it is a fleeting emotion. Sometimes you feel passion, sometimes you don't. But purpose, there's a deep-seated drive under purpose. Ask any mother who's raising little kids, right? Because sometimes we just feel passionate about motherhood, and other times we're just exhausted. And we just want, can somebody take these kids away? I need a break here. That's not passion right there. But underneath it all, and even in the thick of things, and in the worst of times, and in the crying baby, and then the toddlers holding onto your legs. I remember one time, crying baby, holding on to a crying baby, my toddlers holding onto my legs. I just sat down on the floor and cried with all of them. I just bawled my eyes out. I still remember it was right in front of the sink at my old house, 30 years ago. I didn't have anything left in the tank. That's what happens. And that's what we understand when passion isn't present. Your deep purpose and the drive for it is. We can't measure it by passion. We have to measure it by this everyday act of nurturing. We have to look at it as just these little tiny things of being able to sit down and cry with your kids. We have to. We're humans. We don't do it perfectly. It's hard work. Gratifying, satisfying, purposeful, important, but tedious, sometimes boring, long, exhausting. If we can understand that, and understand underneath all of that is the drive to get these kids through the tube, get them to the other side, help them to become the fabulous humans that you've been given in your life to raise. So remember this when you're thinking about this in the wee hours of the night. If you wake up and you're thinking, oh, today I was just so horrible. Today I yelled at him, or today I'm talking about kids, or whatever you're feeling, just a little bit whatever about, remember that purpose can reside in the quiet corners, and that it's away from this glaring spotlight of passion. And it's just the understanding that through it all, you don't give up. You keep holding on. And if you fall apart, you fall apart and you're a human. That's all there is to it. And this happens too when we're taking care of our elderly parents. I remember with my mom, I kept thinking, why is this reminding me of taking care of little kids? Toward the end there, she had a lot of questions and she was repeating herself and her memory wasn't so great. That's just a side, she was on morphine for her, for the COPD. And a lot of that has really affected the way she thought and what have you. There was a lot of dropping everything and running and going and taking care of her. But that's the way it was in those days. And I remember at the time thinking, oh, this is just, I was so annoyed. And I kept thinking, there's going to be a day where I'm not going to get a phone call anymore. And I'm really, really going to miss her. It happened. And there's times I just really, really miss her and give anything for that phone call, right? The other thing is the paradox of detached attachment. I know. Doesn't that sound weird? But let's talk about it. Because what we understand is building connections means forming deep attachments, right? We have deep attachments with the people that are closest to us, our spouses, our children, our parents. We have those deep attachments. However, mindfulness teaches us the concept of detached attachment. Now, it is a paradox, of course, but it's about forming deep connections with people while understanding the impermanence of life. I just shared a story about the impermanence of life. So, what does that do? That helps us to cherish these moments. It helps us to, I shared a story a while ago. I'm sure I've shared it more than one time, but when my kids were little and all the laundry, remember the laundry? And I remember just, going, oh, those damn kids in the laundry and the this, that, and the other. And I mean, then I thought, what the heck are you doing, Leanne? What is wrong with you? And I started to take, I'd see those dirty jeans that had all the things all over it and my son and whatever. And I'd say, God bless my little boy. And the fact that he gets out there and gets dirty and is enjoying all of that. And I'd say the same thing with my daughter's clothes. And I just, putting their laundry in, what a privilege. And I've got an indentured servant here to do it. I changed it. I flipped my attitude and it helped me to cherish the moment when they were little. I still feel like I wished a lot of their childhood away, guilty mother stuff. But there were times where I slowed down and really did love them up. Times when I loved up my mom. But, there's always going to be loss. We're going to lose those times. There's going to be a time when they're not going to have those dirty laundry. You're not going to get the phone call anymore. Come over and help me, honey. And I don't understand. It's going to be like that. But loving deeply means that we let go, And I remember cradling my mom when she was in the active phase of dying. And I said, it's okay to let go. And my reasoning was, and it seemed reasonable to me, was that she gave me her love and I gave her mine. And she got to keep it. And I got to keep hers. And so every time I see a butterfly, and there's monarch season right now, and these butterflies have been kind of going up and down and all around and near us, I always say, hi, Mom, because I know she's around. I still feel her presence when I see that. That's that love. I believe with all of my heart that love keeps visiting, even when it's gone. So I think the thing that we have to look in the big takeaway is that we can't look at happiness as a destination, but we have to look at it as more of a journey and more in the flow and more with the understanding of the beauty of life is the pain of loss, and it's the pain of grief, and it's the pain of somebody growing older and leaving the nest and all of it, I know a lot of people, and you see it all the time. Oh, I don't want them to get any older. Oh my gosh. And this, that, and the other thing. And I think, why don't we celebrate it instead and say, oh my gosh, look at my 3-year-old's walking, running, and my 3-year-old's playing soccer, whatever it is that 3-year-olds do these times, I don't know. But I still always think about how important it is to stay present and to love fully. That to me is just like, that's the secret to all of this, because the purpose comes out of that, you know? The purpose always comes out of that. And the passion, fun as it is to have, it's going to be fleeting. It's going to be up and down. But we get to choose. Are we going to notice? Are we going to be mindful? Are we going to be present? And yes, Patsy, growing old is a privilege. Patsy, you said that to your son when he was passing? How neat. How beautiful. I knew I loved you. I knew we had this thing. Oh my gosh. Loving is, I think love is the secret to the whole mess. And the more we can embrace that, and the more we can just lean into it with our whole hearts, the more that we're going to find ourselves loving every moment, even the hard ones, because being here is a privilege. Being here is a calling, because we're here on purpose and for purpose, right? If we're fearfully and wonderfully made in his image, think about the enormity of that. Then what are we here to do except to love, and to love fully? So I'm going to just get off now and go cry. I feel like I've got a big cry happening. Anyway, thank you so much for being with me today. This was, it was a great privilege to be able to share this. I hope it was blessed you. And tomorrow is a best of, but on Monday, we're going to finish off this tiny little series. If you missed any of the announcements, you can go find them at savingdinner.com/announcements. I love you all. I really appreciate you. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.